Hey gang, today on the podcast we have Mrs. Beth Owens, who is a nurse practitioner here in Virginia Beach. She runs a clinic called Raving Health with her husband, Greg. And Beth's on the show today, and it's going to be a really good podcast talking about male performance and enhancing your body during the years of aging and how important it is to make sure that your hormone levels are at peak efficiency. Not just okay, but running at optimal levels. Stay tuned. It's going to be really good. Excited for this one.
180 and we're at the speed down to 2,500.
Yep, Hawaii 4 Heavy, reduce speed to 180.
Blackbox.
All right, guys, welcome back. So in the studio today, we have a dear new friend of mine and a practitioner for my wife's health, and soon to be mine as soon as I get off my arse and
soon as you
go
get
get
your
my
stuff
blood work.
together.
Yeah, sign all your forms. And anyways, I have an excuse, Beth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You
You
know,
do.
I did. It's poor me. If you guys haven't realized, we haven't had a podcast come out in about a month, so we're celebrating with you today to launch our podcast again after taking a unexpected break. I had a health issue. My eyeball wanted to fall out. No, I'm kidding. I had a detached retina
It just wanted to fall apart.
fall apart. Yeah, and potentially, according to the ophthalmologist, like 90% of retina detachments typically come from head trauma. And so he's like, hey, do you remember having any head trauma? I'm like, no. And so as he's interviewing me and we're talking through it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, head trauma, like just something hit me in the head. So I have this Dutch Malinois, this kind of hyper crazy
Large.
military dog, yeah. 70 plus pounds, not as large as the English Mastiff we have that's 232 pounds, big monster. But Agent, we call him the meat missile, right? He's just this flesh flying machine, furry
Coming
machine.
in hot.
And he hit me in the head with his head, and I retracted back, and then he lunged forward and hit me in the eyeball. Hey, Jake, can we bring up my Instagram, and I'll show a picture of Agent when he was on your shoulders. And then, because I don't think I showed you pictures of the dogs, and we went to dinner with you. And Greg, who's off camera today, he's her bodyguard, partner in business, sexetary,
Yep.
right? Is that
Yeah.
right? Got all
Partner in
those right,
life,
Greg?
partner in business, chauffeur. He wears all the hats.
Yeah.
He does all the things.
But he doesn't want to be on screen with us today, so he's just sitting back, observing, and going to toast with us here in a second. So, Greg, welcome.
Thank you.
Off screen. There you go. We hear him from afar. Yeah, if you can pull up, I'll show Beth the dog that may have injured my. There he is in his kangaroo pose. Oh, we got him on the screen here on this side. There's one, Jake, if you can find it. It's where Agent is on your shoulders. There's a series. It's after those. Quit showing off yourself there. And there he is. Yeah, so Agent will let you do pretty much anything with him.
Yeah.
Like if you pick him up and put him on your shoulders, he's comfortable with that. But then there's one where he's the meat missile. So scroll down. Keep going. This is when I was cold plunging, doing a cold plunge challenge with my buddy. I think it's right there with Betsy and Agent in that series of photos. Yep, he thinks he can sit on the table. And there you go. So he can go from really kind and pleasant to being really ugly.
Yeah.
Now, the day he hit me in the eye, he wasn't that.
He was just playing.
He was just playing.
Yeah.
But that big snout of his hit me in the eye, and I saw flashes of light. And it was blurry, but I didn't have any of the, they call it the window shade, the dark shade coming over my eye.
Yep. The window shade goes down.
Yeah. So that went like 3 weeks later, I'm just sitting at my desk preparing for a financial meeting. And all of a sudden, my right eye, like from the left corner of my right eye over to the middle, it felt like a window shade was pulled, and it was black. And I'm like, oh,
This
God,
can't be good.
yeah, am I having a stroke? So I'm doing all the stroke, with my tongue and whatever you guys say you're supposed to do to test yourself. And I could think clearly, and everything seemed to be working properly, except that eye. So I call Kathleen, and she's at a birthday lunch with our pastor's wife. And I'm like, hey, sorry to disturb you, but I went to Dr. Google. And they said, hey, you have a potential detached retina. Go to the emergency room. So I call her and I go, hey, I think I have a detached retina. And she's like, what? So long story short, we go straight to the optometrist versus the emergency room because they're just right around the corner here. And they do the eye exam. Next thing you know, he's like, yep, Dr. Google was right this time. You've got a not a torn retina, you have a detached retina. And we're going to have to do surgery. And I'm like, when? He goes, today if we can. And so that's a little unnerving. So we get that figured out, and then we actually do it the next morning. So that night I had to sleep on my right side to try to get the retina to fold back over here. And your eyeball, I guess I learned something that day, is that the brain flips the images.
Reversed.
It's
Yep.
reversed. So that was really kind of cool but scary. So I'm laying on my right side that night, and I wake up the next morning to go get ready for surgery. And I can see out of like 90% of my eye now. I'm like, oh, well, like most dudes.
I don't really need to
maybe
go
I'm
and
better.
do this.
Maybe I don't need to go. And so I'm like, I can see better. And Kat read my mind. She was like, no.
Yeah, she's like, get in the car, mister.
Dumbass. Yeah. She didn't really say
We
that.
have a photo if you want to show.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
So this is after surgery.
Viewer discretion advised for
Yeah,
those
viewer
that don't wanna see
discretion.
it.
Beverly.
It's Cyborg. See when it's coming up here. Drum roll.
sorry.
It's not on your website.
Here it is.
There we go.
There you are.
That is right after surgery. And so what the ophthalmologist had to do, yeah, it's kind of squirmy, is he put a big needle in my eye to numb it.
And it's joyous. You're awake. Through
You're
the
awake
whole
because
thing.
he wants me to move my eyeball around and giving me instructions on how to move it. And by the way, shout out to Dr. Rowe. He did an amazing job. Virginia Eye Consultants, they were amazing. But he stuck this thing behind my eye. I think he called it a scapula. And he went in behind the eyeball while I'm awake and like grabbed the retina and pulled it over my eye. As soon as he did that, perfect periphery. I could see left and right. I could see it. I was like, oh, doctor, I can see. He goes, not so fast. He goes, we've got some more things to do now.
That's step one.
Step one. Then he went in and he cryogenically froze the tear because it was detached and torn.
Oh, you had the bonus.
Yeah,
Gotta
had
do
the
it all.
bonus. Had to do it all. So he froze it back together with super cold whatever. And then he says, okay, this last step, I need you to hold really, really still. When you hear that, you're like, oh, crap. What are you about to do?
Yeah.
So he goes in with his needle. And remember, he's pulled the retina back over. So I saw the syringe needle go in front of my eye. And it's about 6 inches long. And I'm like, oh, did you do that on purpose just to see how squirmy I would be? So I'm laying back in this chair, Beth. And I'm gripping like this dental chair for him to go in the corner of my eye and put this needle in my eye to put the bubble, this nitrogen, I think it's nitrogen, bubble behind my eyeball, behind the retina to hold the retina in place so that he could do laser surgery the next day. So when he put this bubble in, he says, okay, you're going to go blind for a few minutes in that eye. And that is like, okay.
Until it happens.
Until it happens. And that is, that was the scariest part for me, was going blind in the eye and really feeling just only being able to see out of my left. And by this time, I wouldn't say I was crying, but I might have looked like a little bitch in there. Because there were tears coming down my face. And I'm sitting there trying to be calm. He let Kathleen and Lizzie stay in the room during this procedure to watch. So it's, it's outpatient, I guess you guys call it.
Yeah.
So I'm laying in this chair, and he goes, okay, I'm going to lean you forward, and I want you to stay forward, lean forward for 5 minutes, and I'm going to come back and check on you. And he waves his hand under my eye, and he goes, can you see that? And the only reason I knew is because out of my periphery of my left eye, I could see him waving his hand. And he's like, can you see that? And I'm like, no. As I can see it with my left eye. He goes, no, close your left eye. So I close my left eye. My right eye's open. It's black.
Nothing.
I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, take the wheel. And there's nothing. And then he goes, okay. He goes, just give it a couple minutes. He comes back and he goes, can you see it? And I'm like, no. So that's like 2 minutes in. He goes, you see nothing? I said, nothing. So he goes and gets his headset and puts this big headset eye thing on. He lays me back in the chair again. He goes, oh, you're fine. It'll come back in a few minutes. So he leans me forward again, and as soon as he leans me forward and does it again, I could see hazes, like electricity is the only way I can explain it, of like purple haze, purple, and I could see like his hand in purple. And then I was like, oh, okay, thank God. I said, I can see like this purple movement going on. And the longer story short, within 5 minutes, I could see again, but it was just blurry.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward, I had to have that done twice because it detached again. And so I think it was last Monday, I got released. And so it's been a week. And, like when I do this now, my vision is a little blurry, but you're smaller than you are in that eye. Mm-hmm. So this eye looks like depth perception, like you're further away. And he said it's just going to take over months for that to heal.
You got to let it heal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he said you might not be 20/20 again. And then the other stuff, if all you guys want to know all this today, next year sometime I'll probably have to go back and have cataract laser surgery to remove a cataract that's caused by fixing the eye.
Oh, so much.
So all that to say, I'm just telling the medical professional today that, man, your health means everything to you, and you don't recognize that until things aren't working right. Yeah. And so for you as a medical professional, that actually happened to you, which pushed you into what's now Raving Health, right? And so we're going to talk about that today. But before we do that, gang, as always, we got some bourbon out here on the table. And Beth has been waiting on pins and needles to throw a shot back. But we're going to sip today versus Greg. For your lovely wife, we're going to sip toast. So come join us. This is, as you folks know who watch the podcast, we always like to toast our vets. And not only our veteran, but our veteran families, the extended families, who make sacrifices, and sometimes the ultimate sacrifice of losing a loved one who's made that ultimate call to duty. And so this is to all our vets, our active duty, all of those that are serving in our 4 branches plus, because now we have Space Force, and we've got our coasties out there. So to all branches of service, we toast you, we thank you. Cheers. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks.
Cheers. What you think?
Really good.
Really
That
good.
is really good. And
Shout out to 4 branches.
I'm not a bourbon drinker. He is, but it's good.
So this actually has, we were talking earlier off camera, Four Branches uses all 4 grains versus 3 that you typically find in bourbon. And I might screw this up. Harold Underdown, if I do, correct me. So thanks to Four Branches, which covers Marine Corps, Navy, Army, and Air Force. There's other branches now, Space Force and Coast Guard, but the 4 branches of our DOD, Harold represented the Navy, and he was with the SEAL teams. And then there was a Marine recon guy and a couple Army guys, or Army guy and an Air Force guy that made up Four Branches bourbon. And they do a pretty good job with it, don't they?
Amazing.
So thanks for all you that serve. So thanks for joining us in that toast, Craig. Sure, we can't get you in here in the conversation. You're good. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. We got a countdown here, and so we've got about an hour and 15 minutes to just unwrap everything. Beth Owens, as a medical professional and your business, Raving Health here in Virginia Beach. So, Beth, you are a nurse practitioner, and you told me off camera. The AG stands for what in your
Adult gerontology.
adult? So unwrap that for us.
Adult-
Sounds old.
It does. It does. It sounds like I focus only on 80-year-olds. So adult, 18 and up, but there is a focus on gerontology. So that is those of us who are 55 and above.
Well, shit, I just made that.
Yeah. And so when you go into your program for being a nurse practitioner, you can specifically do pediatrics. You can do acute care, like in the trauma center, in the ER.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of different designations. I have always termed all of the stuff after my name as the vegetable soup of medicine because it is. And half the time I have to really think hard if I'm looking at somebody's credentials
Okay.
to figure out who they are, what they do. And a lot of it is, what is your training?
Okay. So with your training specifically as a nurse practitioner, help me unwind for folks watching today. We see a lot more now of nurse practitioners, physician assistants or PAs, registered nurses. When I think about a nurse, and again, to me, growing up, the nurse at my parents' general practitioner, she was and it was she. I know sometimes it can be gender
everything.
neutral, right?
Yeah, it's gender neutral.
But growing up in the South, the nurse was like mama. She took care of everything. She made sure she was usually correcting the doctor, making sure he had our names right and making sure all of our meds were right and all of our shots were up to date. She felt more motherly. And I don't mean that by no slam. That to me, it was beautiful. And the doctor was the very matter of fact. You got 15 seconds with him, and then he's out.
Yep.
He or she. A nurse practitioner, as opposed to a registered nurse, as opposed to an MD. Can you break all of that down for us to let us
Sure.
understand that a little more?
So even for medical doctors who are MDs, you can also have a DO, which is a doctor of osteopathy. So a doctor of osteopathy takes more of a holistic route, although they're still trained in the medical model. So
Okay.
the medical model is you come in, what's your chief complaint? Your chief complaint is what brought you into the office today. I'm here for my annual exam. I'm here because I can't see out of my eyeball. So that's how the medical model works. What is your problem? How am I going to solve it? And then see you bye.
Okay.
Doctors of osteopathy tend to, even when they specialize, still look at the whole person and how whatever is going on is interplaying with all the other things. So they will step out of that specialty a little bit sometimes, where MDs get very specialized, very focused. Orthopedics, we can chop you into pieces to go in and
Right.
see an orthopedic surgeon. Nurses who have an RN, an RN cannot make a medical diagnosis because they are not an MD, a DO, an NP or a PA. So within medicine, there are all these rules as to who is allowed to do what and how.
Okay.
So as an RN in the hospital, I was allowed to participate in the code in the ICU, but there was actually a physician who was responsible
What does
for
that
running
mean,
it.
the code? What do you mean by that?
When you go in, you're in the ICU and your blood pressure tanks, your heart rate either goes really low or stops. We hit that button and you hear in the hospital code blue, code
Got
blue.
it. Okay.
So even within that, and in a hospital, I will tell you, all ICU nurses can run the code. All CCU nurses, cardiac care unit nurses, can run the code. But technically, a physician is supposed to be present and is responsible for running the code to make all of the decisions as to what medication is given, when it is given, where are we going down the path, and what we're treating and why.
That's interesting. You know, my real job in financial planning, income planning, financial professional realm, we talk about insurance sometimes as blue insurance or red insurance. And the blue is usually like the health insurance, the long-term care. Red is like the life, because if the red goes out and turns blue, probably means you're not fogging the mirror anymore.
Right.
So in your world, when somebody's code blue, they are at death's door?
Yeah, yeah. And when what you see on TV isn't what really happens. So there are some times where I sit there and I pick it apart, which is funny because I ruin it for everybody else in the room. So I've learned to shut my mouth over the years.
Don't take the entertainment value from us.
Exactly, exactly. Don't ruin it, Mom. But RNs are, as I had children growing up and someone in my neighborhood comes to my house and says, "What is this rash?" I technically, as an RN, which is a registered nurse, I am not allowed to tell them that's contact dermatitis, which is a fancy word for poison ivy.
Okay.
I can say your kid's got poison ivy, go put calamine lotion on it, or go to your pediatrician. I can't write a prescription for a steroid cream if they have a really bad case of it because I'm a registered nurse. So I'm not allowed to diagnose. I am not allowed to prescribe a treatment. I'm not allowed to prescribe medication, but I can pass medication.
Okay.
To be an NP, a nurse practitioner, you have to have been a nurse for at least 3 years, and you had to be a bachelor's prepared nurse. So the history of nursing, it started off as diploma nursing. You were 3 years in the hospital. From the moment you walked in, you had on the white cap, the white dress,
Right.
the whole 9 yards. You learned how to be a nurse for those 3 years. Over time, then an associate's degree came up, a bachelor's degree. So the bachelor's degree is you have to learn the theory behind why you're doing what you're doing. So technically, you can question what a physician is saying, doing, and help protect your patient.
When did these different designations, like I can remember Kathleen's grandma was a wave in World War II, which was like those early nurses.
So was my aunt. They were more diploma trained. It would have fallen into that because it was just boots on the ground.
Yeah.
We need you. We typically haven't had women, but women are teachers and nurses, so we're going to bring you into the service and we are going to train you to do this.
And it was a lot of triage back then, like stop the bleeding, assess the blood pressure, assess the temperature of the patient.
And do whatever you're told to do. If there are not enough hands, you just need to do whatever the physician is telling you to do. If they say hold that limb because we're going to chop it off, well, guess what, sister? You're holding the limb, so giddy up.
Yeah, right.
Like you don't really have a choice. When the associate's degree came about, I have no idea about that. When I decided to go back and become a nurse, I already had a biology degree and wasn't really enjoying what I was doing.
Yeah.
A good friend of the family said, go back and get your bachelor's. You're going to have to get it someday anyway. So over time, diploma nursing has gone out the door. But my 2 preceptors in the ICU were both diploma-trained nurses, and they were spectacular.
Really?
They knew their stuff forwards, backwards, and upside down because they did it from the moment they walked in until they walked out.
And maybe they had a little chip on their shoulder, too. That, all you fancy degree
They
folks,
both had to go back to school in
Okay.
order to still be able to work in a critical care unit. So
Okay.
over time, hospitals have done well, you need to have the associate's degree if you're a diploma nurse. Well, if you're a diploma, now you need to have the bachelor's degree because you need to have the theory behind it.
And there's a big need for nursing
Always.
today, right? So it's
Always. Today
understaffed.
it's worse than COVID really just crashed it. And the bad part is the nursing schools now, there's a lot of stuff that is online. You can do the theoretical part. You can do the class. Anybody can do a class. You read what you're supposed to read. You take a test. Do you really know it or not? We'll find out when you get on the unit. So it's the clinicals, though. If they're doing these online classes, are they providing you with enough clinical hours so that when you come out, you're not a buffoon? You actually know what you are doing. And I will tell you, I am a Johns Hopkins University Bachelor of Science nurse.
Wow.
And I came out, if I had not gotten my last rotation in an ICU, I wouldn't have known as much as I knew when I graduated.
Do you think that's because you were a Blue Jay? I mean, right, John Hopkins Blue Jays, right?
I don't know. I was only there for nursing. I was like in a tunnel. Yeah, I did an accelerator
You
program.
guys fact
so
check me. I think
Yeah.
Johns Hopkins are the Blue Jays.
I know they're really good in lacrosse.
Yeah.
Lacrosse.
My stepson Noah, his dad's brother was the Michael Jordan of lacrosse from
lacrosse
John
at Hopkins. Yeah.
Yeah. So, not going off on sports, but so when you think about, the training that you had and the time that you've put in as now a nurse practitioner, I might make some MDs mad out there, but where would you put yourself, like with a guy coming out of or gal coming out of medical school today who's
So any
MD.
teaching hospital, all of the nurses dislike the summer because all of the new MDs come out and they're idiots because they have all the book learning. They haven't had all of the hands-on. So they've got a degree and they have less hands-on when they're coming out because then they're doing these other rotations. So
do the MDs kind of come out with a little attitude like,
Oh, they do. But if you're in a teaching hospital, the nurses will just whip your butt. They get you in line and they're like, no, you're not going to kill my patient. Step off.
Yeah.
And when they do they puff up their chest and well, I am the doctor. You know what the nurses say? Yeah, I'm going to go above your head, dude. And they go above the head to the attending, and the attending says, yeah, this one's really bad. They're an idiot. You know what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And the nurses turn around and go, yes, I do. So it's medicine is like any other profession, and nobody wants to hear this, but when you right out the gate, you're learning.
Yeah.
You have to be smart enough to know what you know and know that you don't know a whole lot. And you have to ask a lot of questions. You have to put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. And the people that do that turn out really well. And the people that always question, why am I doing this? Am I doing the right thing? And I think nurses tend to do that more because when we're in the hospital with you, we're with you 8, 10, 12 hours. Yeah. We don't just see you.
The doctor's there maybe 15 minutes reading your charts.
Yeah, reading your chart, using big medical words that nobody understands. And patients are bobbleheads. They nod, yes, yes, yes. And the doctor leaves the room and I'm like, what does radiculopathy mean? And they would look at me and I'd say, you have no clue. So here's what it means. Here's why you're getting this treatment. Here's why we're doing this, that, and the other thing. So when you're there as the nurse, you not only have this patient that you're responsible for, you meet their family. Mm. You meet their friends. You meet whoever is coming in and visiting. And you're constantly assessing how these people in the room are affecting your patient as well. Because in the ICU, you have the prerogative of using the rules. Oh, well, only 2 people are allowed to visit for only X amount of time, and nobody can spend the night. And you have all of these rules to back you up so that your care is focused on this one person. And if someone comes in and you see your person's heart rate's going up, their blood pressure's going up, arguments are going on in the room, you just remove them.
Yeah. Because they're making the
Yeah.
patient
Yeah.
more sick, right?
Yeah.
Potential.
Yeah. And so you very much, as the nurse in the hospital, you are learning all the things about this person, even the things they don't want you to know, that they're not going to tell you about their family. And you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if someone called me from home and said, your child went to the ER, I can't leave. I am legally bound to take care of this person for my shift. I cannot leave. They can charge me. So it's, you don't go into medicine lightly. You shouldn't. And for nurses, you go in and you're looking at the whole human being, no matter whether you're on a specialized floor and treating one specific thing like orthopedic surgery, patients coming out with hips and knees. You're still treating everything.
All right, so let me do this if I can. So what we're talking about now is that care, that emergency care, that high intensity triage. Let's get the patient back to a baseline of what's normal for them. And so it sounds like that's emergency type stuff. To where you've graduated into now, I guess might be a way to say it, is maintaining a level of care so that they don't end up in the emergency room?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that fair?
So most nurses come out of school and your job is at a hospital. At a certain point in time after years of being there, some people stay there forever. They absolutely love it. They can't think of doing anything else. Others of us, my children were growing up, the shifts, the weekends, the holidays, all the things sometimes make you scratch your head. And then sometimes it's just the fact that it is emotionally, physically, and mentally wearing on you. And then my oldest son had changes in behavior, and I went to the pediatrician. They looked at me like I had 3 green heads. Nobody wanted to address the root cause of what was making him behave differently. So we've moved from Maryland to Pennsylvania. He's had all these sinus infections. He's had all of these antibiotics. And now he can't remember things. What is going on? Why is he not able to sit still? Why is he just like some weird behaviors? What is going on? His pediatrician wanted me to put him on Adderall for attention deficit. They wanted me to give him Zoloft because the school psychologist said he was borderline depressive. And then they wanted me to give him Ambien so that he could sleep to balance out the Zoloft and the Adderall. He was 8 and a half.
Uppers and downers, basically.
Yeah, so we want to give my kid some cocaine so that it has the opposite effect on him and he'll sit in his chair. So that was my first introduction to here is medicine on an outpatient basis. I had only done hospital. My kids were healthy up to that point. My experience with outpatient was giving them their vaccine shots, going to the pediatrician, making sure their height and weight was good, and, is there anything I had a question about? And then I get this abrupt entry into, you're crazy, here are the drugs, go away. So that was my first foray into Dr. Google. And as a mom, no, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for you to throw a bunch of things at him and not tell me what caused this. What caused this?
Yeah.
So I went to a hippie doctor, and I called him the hippie doctor. I called him the hippie doctor to his face. He thought it was fun. And so did Alex. But he he looked at me and said, you've already figured it out. Like, you just laid out. Nurses give reports. So when you're leaving your shift, you give report on the patient, and then you go away. And that's report is this nice little summary of this patient. So
Yeah.
I gave the doctor report.
It's your
on my kid.
observational science.
It is their name, their age, what's their diagnosis, what did we treat them with today, how have they responded to it. They've been in the hospital 3 days, so I gave him a nice little synopsis of here's what's going on. And he said, you're going to have to change his diet. Like, we've wiped out his gut. He has leaky gut. Why didn't my pediatrician listen? Why didn't my pediatrician ask me more questions? Why did they just dispense these prescriptions? And when I didn't give them to him, they told me I was a terrible parent. You're a horrible mother. Why are you not giving him medication?
Kathleen and I were just reading some stuff about Freud. And the things that Freud did with his patients in the early days, in the 1800s, and feeding patients cocaine as an example. And today, science has still accepted a lot of Freudian theory as medical science. And where we're going, well, wait a minute, hold on. This guy was a nut job.
Yeah.
And we're putting it in textbooks as theory that has now become law for medical science in a lot of ways. Do you see that's on the psychiatry side? In medicine, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I'm just using nomenclature that I've learned. The hippie doctor, is that Eastern medicine kind of coming out in his practice, or?
That was him saying the medicine that we practice in the United States is cookie cutter medicine that does not treat you as an individual any longer. It is, here's what we're doing. So physicians see patients, they're scheduled every 10 minutes in an office visit. Nurse practitioners, woohoo, we get 15 minutes. I can't do a whole lot of anything good for you in 15 minutes. What am I going to do in 15 minutes, especially if you're 80 and you're on 6 medications? I'm lucky if you're on 6 medications.
Now, do you risk, like, this sounds a little counter to traditional medicine. Do you risk, like, any board sanctions by going, hey, you guys kind of have this wrong in your professional opinion?
Only if I were to really irritate a specific physician who wanted to shut me down. They could report me to the board, but then they have to prove that what I'm doing is deleterious to the patient. And a lot of times they use the guidelines. And so we have all these medical guidelines now, how you treat menopause, how you treat thyroid, how you treat diabetes, all of these guidelines. Well, if you look up the definition of guideline, it's not law. It is, here is an approach to take. Never in the guideline does it say, everyone, this will work for every single patient you have. And never does it say in those guidelines that you shouldn't address specifically that person in front of you.
Your overarching oath is the Hippocratic Oath?
Yeah, I'm supposed to take care of you as the person in front of me. You are who I am bound to. You are the person that I am supposed to be trying to provide all of the health care that I can. I am supposed to be using all of my knowledge to benefit you. It is not to benefit the medical guidelines. It is not to benefit the insurance company. It's not to benefit Big Pharma, the FDA, or anybody else.
Ooh, you're pissing off a lot of people now.
It is to make sure that I have given you my best. That is what medicine has always been to me.
The financial services industry has a same oath, like do no harm, do no additional harm.
You're not supposed to take my money and run off with it.
Right. Yeah, Bernie it, Madoff it. Madoff.
Exactly.
If you have the last name Madoff, how did you ever make it in the financial business to begin with?
Yeah, really. That's
Madoff
bad.
with your money,
Right,
sorry.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where have you seen, like, I'll give you an example in my industry. we have these continuing education courses, and sometimes I read these courses that I know the textbook answer they want,
Correct.
and I'm like thinking through client interaction and client events that have taken place. I'm like, that's not what I told them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Strictly, it may be fluffy. That's kind of the right answer,
Mm-hmm.
but the textbook answer is not always the patient answer.
Correct.
So, in your world, you saw this yourself in dealing with your thyroid, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Unwrap that for me and help us understand how that kind of led to you launching Raving
Yes.
Health.
So that was medical event number 2 in my immediate family.
Okay.
I was so exhausted that I was getting up in the morning, getting 2 kids off to school, and literally climbing back in my bed. I set an alarm so I could get up and get them off the bus, back into the house.
That's normal, right?
I would fall asleep on the couch, and they would have to wake me up so that I could make dinner, get through all the stuff for them, dinner, homework, baths. They went to bed. I was out. I was done.
Wow.
So I got an appointment. I went to see a nurse practitioner. Sorry, I'm a nurse from the beginning, and so I've always had a fondness for nurse practitioners.
Okay.
I went to my nurse practitioner. I was literally asleep in the room. I had my head on the wall. I was sound asleep when she woke in. She had to shake me. And she's like, oh my, like, we need to get some labs on you. And I was like, yeah. She's like, does anybody in your family have hypothyroidism? And I'm like, at this point, I don't even know who is in my family. Like, I can't tell you anything. So luckily, I had been there with both of my sons. So my sons saw the male physician because they were boys. They were more comfortable with him. I saw her. So she writes me a prescription for Synthroid. She sends me home. She says, come back in 8 weeks. We're going to do a lab draw. So they do the lab draw. I go back for my follow-up appointment, and she walks in and she says the famous line that now I hate when anyone says, your labs are within normal limits. And my response was, I still feel like ass. This is not going to work for me. And she was like, alrighty then. So she said, I was out the gate. I knew that you were someone who tried to hit everything from a natural perspective. They knew what my ex-husband and I had done for our son with the leaky gut. So they knew how I had addressed that, because part of addressing that, we moved from Pennsylvania to Florida so that we could get him in an environment that was, we were near the ocean. Like, we did all the things to delete the allergies.
And it worked?
It did. We did a gluten-free, casein-free diet for a 9-year-old going on 10 to actually follow that diet and not have any Hershey's chocolate. He was a champ. But a year later, he felt magnificent. And the reason he kept at it was because he knew things were going right. And so this nurse practitioner I was going to was part of watching him change over that first year that we were in Florida. So she said, you know, I didn't want to give you the Synthroid out the gate. I know you're more of a holistic, natural approach. She said, you don't feel good. Most people on Synthroid complain that it doesn't completely alleviate all of their symptoms. I said, okay. She said, we're going to put you on Armour Thyroid. Okay. She said, go home and educate yourself once you start feeling a little better. Okay, fine. The difference between the 2 medications was night and day for me. It was flip of a switch. I was back.
I hate to cut your story off, but take me back to
Synthroid.
Synthroid.
Synthroid is made by Big Pharma. It is a synthetic T4.
Okay.
Your thyroid puts out T1, T2, T3, and T4.
Okay. What does the T stand for?
It's thyroid hormone.
Thyroid. Okay. All right.
We're not really imaginative sometimes. So the way that works, your anterior pituitary sends out TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone.
In the brain.
Yep, from your brain. Sends out to
this
the
little
thyroid, to
thing
this
here in
little
the throat,
gland
yeah.
here. And it says the body needs more of the thyroid hormones. So it makes it, but it makes it in specific ratios of all of those T's.
Guys, show us a picture of this. If you would, bring up a picture of help them if you would
An
show
actual
an image,
thyroid, an image of the thyroid.
or if we were just looking at a
Or
schematic, or maybe
look at a schematic that has the entire endocrine system, because the anterior pituitary is putting out the signals. It's a negative feedback. So then the signal, the hormones
endocrine
actually
system.
go. Yeah.
Okay,
They
let's
go
see a
to a
picture of that.
specific body part. That body part does what it's supposed to do, and it sends it back to the anterior pituitary saying, enough. So it's a loop.
Okay. So if there's some glitch in the loop, it's going to send out bad signals, bad information.
So the anterior pituitary can send out a signal. There we go. So see how little the pituitary gland is over there?
Yeah.
That little gland sends out information to the thyroid, to the pancreas, the adrenals, the ovary, the testicles.
The testicles.
So when a man hits andropause, his pituitary gland sends out FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone, to the testicles to produce testosterone and to produce sperm.
All right, so just in a history, not a history lesson, but a biology lesson here. If you got these guys,
Yep.
you don't have those guys.
Correct.
You
Usually, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. There are
Greg, you like-
genetic
you like that?
anomalies. Yeah.
Fifth
you should
grader.
have one or other. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
So yep.
All
One or
right,
the
so I
other.
passed that test.
Yep.
So if I don't have, there are some people who do.
Yeah.
They're called hermaphrodites.
Yes, they end up with an extra X or an extra Y, and so they get all the parts.
Got all the parts.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then they have to figure out how they're going to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's a whole
interesting.
nother podcast.
A whole nother podcast. All right. So you usually normal circumstances, you got one or the other.
Yep.
But it's still working with the pituitary
Yeah.
gland.
The pituitary sends out a signal to a specific gland, like the thyroid.
Okay.
So it sends out thyroid stimulating hormone.
What is parathyroid compared to thyroid?
They have different functions. Your thyroid is your mental focus.
Is
and clarity.
parathyroid like special operations thyroid? No. This is one of my military stuff.
No, it's like an additional. I'm stuck under there.
Just
yeah,
say
no.
Kenny dumbass.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up.
It's special
okay.
agent under there. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the thyroid gland you're not real worried about. So when you have this endocrine system and you have this feedback loop, when you're trying to fix something, think about it. If you're a mechanic, do you only put in a portion of the part that went faulty in the engine, or do you give it the whole part?
Yeah.
Okay, common
Okay.
sense, fifth grader
Right.
would say, well, you would put in the whole part.
Right.
Like if it needs a new transmission, why would you just put in fluid? Because it's going to come back out or it's not going to
Right.
work right.
Okay.
Synthroid is a part of the answer when the thyroid
T1
is
through
not
T4.
working. It's only T4.
Okay.
And it's synthetic. So here's the other thing you have to know. Bioidentical means it comes from a plant source, and we don't change it. We take a cholesterol molecule out of a plant. We make it into the cholesterol molecule of whatever we're trying to make, whether that is estradiol, progesterone, or testosterone. So if we're doing synthetics, in order for a medication to go through the FDA, it has to be a synthetic. It has to be chemically altered. So do you think your body understands what that chemically altered T4 is as much as it would if it got a T4 from a bioidentical source?
So you're tricking it versus
Yeah.
mimicking it.
Which is why a lot of people on Synthroid say, I never got back to where I was prior to being diagnosed. And that was my very short time on it was my statement to her.
That was your personal experience.
Yeah,
with
my
that too.
personal
Okay.
experience was, And in that 6 weeks, 8 weeks that I was taking it, then I got on the phone with my mother, and she's like, oh, yeah, your grandma had low thyroid. Both of my sisters have it. Your 4 female cousins have it. I was like, what did grandma take? She's like, I don't know. She took something every morning. My grandmother took desiccated thyroid extract, which was the original treatment for hypothyroidism.
Break that down for us. Desiccated
Desiccated thyroid
extract.
extract. So desiccated means, so God in his infinite wisdom, if you pay attention, provides you a way to heal and fix things. The pig thyroid puts out T1, 2, 3, and 4, just like a human thyroid.
The pig thyroid.
The pig thyroid. So because we have all of these wonderful technological advances, you can take that pig thyroid, and now we can take them for the people who say, oh, well, you're not getting the exact dose because each pig isn't going to have the perfect amount. They're taking gazoodles
Oh
of
well, this is starting to come together for me now. All right, so let me take you down a rabbit hole here.
Okay.
So when I left the Marine Corps, I thought I was going to go to work for Norfolk Southern Railway. Long story short, that didn't happen. That's a different podcast. So I was in a panic to have a job somewhere doing anything until I found out what I really wanted to do in life. 28 years later, here I am as a financial professional. So early on, I went to work for Smithfield Foods in the hot dog plant in Portsmouth, Virginia. And I worked there 5 months, couldn't stand it. It's like, get me out of here. But one of the things in training that you did is I went through the kill floor in Smithfield to see what happens with a pig. And I promise you, they do not waste any part of the pig.
Nope.
One of the things that I noticed, and remember as you said this, is the pituitary gland in a pig. They had this little machine that one dude just scooped that out. And they would put it in a little, I'm going to call it the Petri dish, but they would collect these and then sell that to the pharmaceutical industry. Are they making thyroid? I guess maybe.
They're taking that pig thyroid and they freeze it. That's the desiccated part.
Okay.
Is they freeze dry it.
Oh man, this is coming together for me.
And then, so then it's desiccated because it's freeze dried. It's thyroid because it's from the pig's thyroid. It's extract because you've extracted it from the pig. And so the short is DTE, desiccated thyroid extract. So my grandmother was treated with that. My grandmother could have all 6 grandchildren in the house. She never lost pace mentally. Physically, she was not overweight. She wasn't lethargic. Like, she wasn't the woman who was sitting down in the afternoon. She
Having
was,
to be woke up from a nap.
Exactly. None of the
Interesting.
symptoms that I recall experiencing. So it's very interesting when you look at the history of any specific thing in medicine. The treatments way back in the day were based on the patient. They didn't do lab work. They did lab work to diagnose that you had hypothyroidism because that thyroid stimulating hormone goes way up. When that lab value goes up and you have all of these symptoms, you're hypothyroid. That's the diagnosis my grandmother got. The treatment was desiccated thyroid. Do you know how they adjusted it? How do you feel? So when she went into her appointment, they were like, Alice, how do you feel?
And she would report how she felt, and if it was
And then
bad, they would up the dose.
Up the dose.
Interesting.
Until she was at a point where she said, I'm back.
Now,
I'm clicking on all cylinders.
What happens if they overdose? What are the symptoms of that?
Oh, then you're just a fidgety hot mess.
Okay.
Then you're hyperactive. You can have heart palpitations.
Okay.
You don't feel good. You can
So
lose
you
weight.
dial it back.
Yep. Yeah, and then you just dial it back.
Now, in your professional opinion, was that the right way to do it? Were they doing it right then?
Yeah.
And
They
we got away from
treated-
that?
They treated the person in front of them.
Okay.
Not here's what the textbook and the guideline says. Because do you even think that if I had a sister, are we exactly alike? And then there's the difference between men and women. And
Yeah, I know me and my siblings, we are not exactly
no,
alike.
my brother and I are flip sides of a coin.
Yeah.
And I have 2 sons. 2 sons who you can see the facial features that they share, but
Yeah.
you can also see the differences. I mean, one's 5'9" and the other one's 6'2". Do we think that they would biologically respond to every single thing exactly the same way?
Yeah,
Nope.
great point.
So
I have
why-
5 children, and they're
They're all
they
different.
look alike, but they're all different.
You, as a parent, you had to adjust how you got the best out of each one of those kids
Yeah.
because they had different personalities.
Yeah.
They had different strengths and weaknesses. So why do we expect you can put a patient in front of a provider and say treat all of them exactly the same?
And they all think that we made a mistake with the other 4. Right, Jake?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm the best out of the
He's
2
not gonna
children.
respond.
But so medicine has gone from my PCP growing up, the general practitioner, he took care of the whole family.
Yeah.
He was my very first advocate for PMS and my only one until I became my own advocate because he looked at me. He knew me. He talked to me every year. My appointment, it was a sports physical, and I was healthy. So did he really need to spend an hour with me? No. But he did. And his waiting room wasn't jam-packed, and he lived really well. He had a big, giant horse farm. So it's not like the way he practiced medicine that he was a pauper, but he practiced it in a way that none of us wanted to leave him. I mean, I hated when I was like, do I really have to go to an OBGYN? Like,
Yeah.
can't you stretch your practice a little? Can you do all the things? Could you deliver babies for me? Because he knew me. He took the time to know me. Now, his notes are super hysterical because my mother had to collect them when I went to college. Every year it was the same line. It was 14, and it was Y/O, year old, F for female, W and L, within normal limits. And then he scrawled his name because he didn't chart for the insurance company to pay him back.
Yeah.
I'm so old, that was back in the day when you just paid cash for your visit. And
Yeah.
so he spent an hour with us. He spent an hour with me, and then he spent another half an hour educating my mother on the fact that although she did not have PMS the way that I did, I needed something, and they had to
Yeah.
figure out what to do for me.
Beth, I'm in the financial services industry, insurance licensed, and one of the things that I don't buy health insurance from the industry. And people, what, Kenny? I did for a
It's not
while.
health insurance anymore. It's
Yeah.
catastrophic care insurance.
So, yeah, we even go to a step further now where we self-insure, but we use theoretically a catastrophic plan through health sharing with a organization that's like-minded people in terms of we share in our medical expenses, share in our medical cost, and we accept the fact that we're going to have some out-of-pocket cost. But just from a financial point of view, my costs are 1/5 of what they were to the medical industry, and I have to be disciplined enough to save the difference for those times where I got to come out of pocket for a big
Yeah.
charge. But I can actually go to my medical doctor now and negotiate, which is wild. They go, well, what's the cost of this eye procedure? And they go, well, we'll settle that with the insurance company. No, I'm the insurance company. Let's talk.
Right.
And the little young lady up front, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. The young lady up front is like, well, you can't do that. Well, yes, I can. Tell me the numbers. And, shout out again to my doc who did my eye procedure. When he looked at it, he went, hey, you know what? This is on me. You paid for this procedure. You paid. And he gave me but it's weird how that happens in the world that we live in today where, like Medicare and Medicaid has monopolized the industry in a way, in my opinion, and I'm not a nurse practitioner, I'm not an MD, I'm none of that, but I've watched what has happened from the insurance industry side of things, and it's a little spooky to know that my insurance company can manipulate the care that I'm going to receive from my medical professional. I don't want that.
Nope.
So the way you approach medicine today, as opposed to the way traditional you're still traditionally trained.
Yeah.
And you still follow a Hippocratic oath.
Yep.
But you approach medicine a little differently. Unwrap that for us.
I don't want to chase my tail, and I don't want you to chase your tail. So if I can get you prior to you starting into all of those chronic diseases of aging, where most people in their 50s, they're going to start with blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine. Ooh, the statins, they're, the big one. Type 2 diabetes, if I can catch you before that, if I can teach you things that you can do on your own, you shouldn't need me as much. Two, it shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. Like, you have to be responsible for your own dietary intake, your own exercise level. What kind of cleaning supplies do you have in your house? Like, most of mine are vinegar and dish soap and baking soda based. Like, because there's no chemicals. So what I learned from the first instance that I stepped outside of the box of medicine as we now practice it in the United States was all of this stuff that has made life easy is horrible for you.
Yeah.
Horrible.
You know what's interesting is the universal solvent is what? Water.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that most of the cleaning products
Don't have any.
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But if you can't clean it with water or heat the water up and use some
baking soda and some elbow grease.
Yeah. It is pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the natural products are heavily based in water and maybe a little bit of some extra natural solvent. But if you can't pronounce it, you probably want to second guess whether or not.
So one of the things we have in the office is an in-body scanner. So the only way I can tell about your visceral fat and certain other things is to put you on this machine. 30 seconds later, I get this printout. I know a lot of stuff.
Is that what you're doing?
It is not a DEXA scanner. A DEXA scanner
Because I've done a DEXA scan.
does bone
density.
Yeah. So this is giving me information about your visceral fat, which is the fat that wraps around inside
All
the
those
organs.
important
and
organs.
All the bad chronic diseases of aging.
Oh God, I can't wait.
I can't wait to get you on the machine.
Greg,
Greg's the
what am I
one who
getting
does
into?
those. So you two will sit in there, and he'll be like, "Oh wow, look
Yeah.
at this."
Put the Twinkies down, Kenny.
Exactly. Yeah. Put the ice
Put
cream
the Ben
away.
and Jerry's down. Great.
But
You're really talking me into coming.
Yeah. It is. We had a young lady come in, because you can come in and just get the in-body scan at our office.
Okay.
Because we are about health and wellness. So between the two of us, we have 4 kids. We yak at them all the time. Like, sleep.
Yeah.
You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. If you're not getting good sleep, if you're my age, I'm 60, you're postmenopausal. I can help you fix that with a biologically
and
identical.
postmenopausal will make you maybe want to stay up late or get up early?
Your hormones just say, nope, you're not going to sleep through the night. You wake up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you start thinking, and then you don't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you're just hateful the next day. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But I look at the kids, like, you got to sleep. You've got to eat. And what are you eating? If it comes out of a box or a bag, so the young lady that came in, he was like, if you want to come back and talk to her about nutrition, I said, I'm going to give you my shortest spiel right now. Go to the grocery store. You shop the perimeter. That's all the stuff that is an actual whole food as God intended it. That's the actual green pepper. It's,
Heard that before.
the
Stay on the
lettuce.
outside of the
Stay on
store.
that perimeter, because that's your produce, and then you've got your dairy products, and you've got anything that's refrigerated. That's on the outside perimeter.
Okay.
When you go inside, if you look at the box and it has more than 5 ingredients, you should automatically put it back, because Lord only knows what most of those things are. But if they're in big capital letters, it's a chemical, put it back. This chemical is probably never going to leave your body. If it is long enough that you have to use your first grade phonics, put it back. It's a chemical.
Hooked on phonics worked for me.
Yeah, hooked on phonics. But if you're using that and you're in the grocery store, what is that that's in there?
Interesting.
Greg was looking at sourdough bread. There were so many ingredients, and without my glasses, like, the list was this long, and I couldn't read all of them. He goes home and looks up. He goes, sourdough bread should have 3 ingredients. Then why are there 25?
Sarah, my oldest daughter, makes pretty amazing sourdough from this culture that goes
That's
on
what Greg
for-
just started.
Yeah, it's tasty.
Yeah, so it's
Salt. What is it, Greg?
Salt, flour, and water.
Salt, flour, and water. But there's a specific type of flour you'd use, right? You don't want to use the enriched.
Yeah, you don't want, no, you do not want enriched.
Right.
No enriched. You want just unbleached flour. You can use rye. You can
She
use-
gets it from this Amish place up in Pennsylvania. This flour she uses. It's, I forget, but it is so good though, so good.
See, that's the bread that you should be eating.
Yeah. Okay.
So for that young lady who came in, she was like, I need to get my stuff on track. Like, I've gained weight. I've started a new job. I'm now going to the gym. And I was like, so sleep and what are you eating? Like, you do that along with a personal trainer, you're going to come back. Your next in-body is going to be better. Ask me specific questions when you come back. Like, what have you learned by going to the grocery store? I mean, this is something that we have preached to all four of ours. They are now 22 to 29, and they're actually starting to listen to us. Like, we're not
Yeah.
anymore.
There she
You've gone
goes
through
again.
that. Yeah, there she
does
goes
Mom know?
again. Oh my gosh, she's talking about the organic stuff again. And so now they're trying to figure out how to afford that stuff. Like, you have to make your health a priority. So I always joke with my youngest and tell him he's my bougie child. So the other day turns around, he goes, you're bougie about your health. Damn straight I am. You are. That is like a huge compliment to
Yeah.
me because, yes, I will spend money on the front end of my health so that I'm not spending it on the back end. And I don't want to be on 8 medications that are from Big Pharma that all have side effects, that all interact with each other, that all cause all kinds of things going on in my body that I don't want going on, and I don't feel any better. And they're treating a symptom, not the root cause.
Interesting. So, what's the balance a person can strike who's in this system that we're in today of, you got Big Pharma, you got the insurance industry, they're in collusion in a lot of ways, maybe in all the ways, working together. And, from a political point of view, do you think the current administration and the politics of what they promoted in the election of what RFK is trying to do, do you think they're on to something, or do you think they're wacky like a lot of people think?
I think it's about time. They are
Okay.
on to something. I mean, why did my kids not have those dyes and chemicals in the house? Because I knew better.
Yeah.
But if it's on the shelf, who in their right mind is going to walk into a grocery store and say, I think my country is trying to kill me? Nobody. Like, as a health professional, they're not going to think
Yeah.
that I'm going to do something harmful to them. But take my very best example as a nurse practitioner working within the insurance and Big Pharma scenario. I'm doing injections in people's knees so that they either are choosing to avoid a knee replacement or they don't qualify for it, so we're trying to help them alleviate their pain. And their insurance company says you have to give them a steroid first. But they're a diabetic. Nope, the steroid stays just in that knee compartment. No, it doesn't. It escapes the compartment just like everything else. It gets absorbed systemically. It will have a bad effect on their diabetes. Steroids make your blood sugar go up. Am I knowingly going to follow what the insurance company and whoever the person is on the other end, who probably does not have any medical training and is just looking at, this is what your policy says, this is what you pay for, so this is what you can have? No.
So
Do you know
there's-
the documentation I have to do to get out of giving them
Yeah.
that injection so that I can bypass it and give them the hyaluronic acid that is not going to cause a reaction? Am I going to knowingly give something to someone and send them to the ER, or even if they don't have that bad of a reaction, am I going to make them miserable so they can come back in 2 weeks and say that didn't do anything for me but made my blood sugar go up?
So when you're approaching your patients at Raving Health? Can you guys bring up the side? I know we have the endocrine system still up there, but let's bring up Raving Health, and we'll give a little shout out to how you approach medicine in your clinic and your practice. Tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, I see hormone therapy or things that are jumping off the page. So I'm guessing that you're going to tell me that your hormones are really important to your overall health.
They are. They are really important to your health as you age. So as I said, I'm 60. I take estradiol, progesterone, testosterone. Yes, women take testosterone. And my desiccated thyroid. And I take allergy medicine because I can't breathe. Without it, breathing is essential to life. But that's it. That's what I take. And I take melatonin if I need an extra boost for sleep. So those are the pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, is that what they are? The hormones that I take are biologically identical to what my body used to produce.
So you wouldn't define that as a pharmaceutical?
They are made from a yam. They take the cholesterol molecule out. They make it into
yam, like
a yam. Yeah, like
yams,
a sweet potato
like
yam.
My candied yams, I like.
Exactly.
My sweet potato souffle.
Yeah, without any of the brown sugar and stuff on it. Yeah, sorry.
Here we go.
And so they make it into this molecule that my body says, I know what you are. I know exactly what to do with you, and I'm going to make you feel so much better. Because it's just nature. We are not meant to last forever. And because of some of the wonderful vaccines in our childhood that kept us from dying, and because of some of the things for our generation and our parents' generation, things that were just normal to have. My grandparents had a farm. My mother grew up on that farm, and then we ate the beef cattle from that farm and the chickens, and they hunted and all the good things. So we're a bit healthier than what I see in my kids' generation. And so I think I got a leg up from my profession because I didn't want to be the fat nurse talking to you about your diet, or the nurse that smelled like minty smoke and was still smoking cigarettes and coming in and lecturing you. So I've been healthy and taking care of myself, but when your thyroid poops out. There's nothing you can do. Menopause hits, it hits. You don't have an option. So if I'm super healthy and I could live to be 89 like my mother, am I going to do it in a manner so that I keep my mental faculties, I don't break a bunch of bones, I don't have a heart attack, I don't have a stroke, I reduce my cancer risks across the board, but cardiovascularly is the most important. Cardiovascular disease is what kills women the most after menopause. It's not breast cancer.
Need that pump.
Yeah, so do I continue to be healthy? Do I continue to do things that are going to promote my health long term? Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, the insurance industry, specifically the life insurance industry, Harvard did a study back in 2000 called the Harvard Mortality Tables, and they stretched mortality from back then. Everybody actuarially would make it to 100. They stretched the actuarial tables to 121. So today, like when we're doing retirement planning, income planning, it's on tables to 121 years. And there's guys like Elon Musk today who thinks that it's realistic that within the next 10 to 20 years, we could have people walking around that are 121 years old. Because of science and breakthrough of science and artificial technology, AI. You know, he's got a person now that has the Neuralink. Right. I just read an article about the young man who's had life-changing experience from using a chip with 1,000 different strands that help him and his paralysis live a more normal life now. And what Elon is trying to move us to is a position where between sciences and biosciences that we get to a point where people could live that long. From your point of view with hormone therapy alone, what do you think that does to a person's life expectancy?
I think Greg and I could easily live into our 90s healthy.
Healthy.
Because
As long as you don't run into the bus or, you know,
as long
Greg
as I
drive
don't
like
let
a
my
bat
short
out of
bus
hell.
run over
That's
me,
right.
then I'm okay. It's that I won't have all of the risk factors. So if I'm eliminating the risk factors of the things that typically are going to kill me 60, 70, and 80 years old, then I'm going to live longer, I'm going to live healthier, and I'm going to be happier.
And in your own life, Beth, are you seeing biomarkers and blood work that would prove that where you were X years ago to where you are now, does the science
Yeah.
and your
If you
blood
take
profile show that?
something as simple as my lipid panel in my 40s on Armour Thyroid, which is the pharmaceutical equivalent of desiccated thyroid, I had absolutely no issues with my lipids. That's something that your thyroid works in conjunction with your liver that nobody talks about. Because we treat with statins. The statin keeps your total cholesterol down. It doesn't do anything else. So the thyroid actually keeps your total cholesterol down. It clears out the total cholesterol, the extra cholesterol, and the extra low-density lipids. Those low-density lipids are the bad ones. You want your lows low and your highs high. So it helps clean that out of the liver and your body to get rid of it. So actually, in my 40s, when I was on Armour, my lipid panel was better than a typical 40-year-old woman. And then when I hit menopause, from one annual exam to the next, why did my total cholesterol go up 20 points? Why did my LDL go up somewhere between 10 and 15 points when my diet hasn't changed, my exercise hasn't changed? What is going on here? What is wrong? Well, if it keeps going up and you can't change it by adjusting your diet and exercise, we're going to put you on a statin.
Wow.
Then you look at my lipid panel now on the bioidenticals, and I'm back to where I was in my 40s. So Greg's lipid panel,
Greg, do we have full disclosure that she can release your medical information today in World Wide Web?
Yeah, World Wide Web. When we started him on hormones, his total cholesterol was somewhere around 235, and his LDL somewhere around 115, 120. Those are not good numbers. You want your total cholesterol under 200. You want your LDL under 90. His total cholesterol in 1 year on bioidentical hormones. So as a male, he's on thyroid and testosterone. He changed nothing. I mean, our diet was already good, but he doesn't exercise, go to the gym. He exercises by going out and doing stuff in the yard and fixing the boat and stuff like that. So he didn't change anything else. But 1 year later, after being on hormones, his total cholesterol was 175. His LDLs were down below just under 100. And his PCP was like, wow, you've really changed your diet and added some exercise, and that's great.
And he's just like,
yeah, and you're like, no, that's what? So it's one of the things that I look for. Most of my clients come in, they're over 50, and that lipid panel, especially when you're over 50, that total cholesterol and the LDL, those are the two that you get that big red H beside. They're high. Yeah. Do we treat it with a statin? No. Yeah. It's not going to help your LDL.
So Kat was telling me, this was like a week ago, we have our coffee time on the back porch in the mornings, and we talk about everything from our faith to our health, and the weather, right? Old men talking about the weather. And so one of the things she brought up was she had read an article that in the 1950s, the acceptable level for HDL, LDL, and the total cholesterol was much higher than what it is today. and that there's a conspiracy theory that the big pharma, lowered the total score
So you'd
so
be
that
on
they could
meds.
put more people on statins.
Sure.
Do you subscribe
Totally,
to that?
I totally do. They changed the hypertension guidelines and overnight because now a blood pressure of 140 and 90 is cutoffs. If we drop it to 130 and 80, do you know how many million people we can put on blood pressure
On blood
medicine?
pressure pills. And just put them on a low dose, like the starter
Just
dose.
sprinkle a little lisinopril on there, 5 milligrams, and everybody will be happy.
Jeez.
It is, I've been in medicine 31 years, and it's the reason I don't work at a practice that takes insurance and practices medicine the way that we are practicing it now is because it is not helpful to you as a human being.
So I have a very close friend, had this conversation with him today before the podcast. We'll talk afterwards. He's a healthy male within weight limits, cut out his drinking, cut out his smoking weed, right? Did all these things the doctor told him to do. He went back for an exam, and they're still telling him his blood pressure is stroke level. What is going on with this dude? And I know you can't diagnose without the patient,
Yeah.
but if you were guessing, I mean, he eats good.
Yeah.
He's not drinking. He's
There
not
are some
smoking.
people that are going to get hypertension that a lot of things have to do with genetics, environmental toxins that you've been exposed to over time, depending on what your profession is, changes your chemical makeup and how your body responds to things.
So maybe the places he was deployed, maybe the places he spent 20 years is predisposed
So-
him now to.
I will honestly say there are some things that are going to happen to you over the course of your lifetime that are going to change your genetic makeup and how your body responds to different stimuli. Not all of them can be taken care of without medical intervention.
So is that when Big Pharma works, where you should?
Like if you're a type 1 diabetic, you can't live without Big Pharma. You
Right.
need your insulin.
Yeah.
But should your family go broke trying to provide you with insulin? I don't think so. So when you're in medicine, you're supposed to be moral and ethical. And so I can't look at a client and tell them that their smoking is okay. I rattle off all the things that it is going to do to your body. Do I expect you to stop tomorrow? No. But if you want my help in stopping, I'll do everything that I can to help you stop. I tell people about their food. I tell them about exercise. Do I enjoy Monday through Friday getting up early before I go to work and getting my exercise in? No. But am I going to be a frail little old 80-year-old woman with broken bones? Oh, that's a bigger no.
Yeah. Pick your poison,
Yeah,
right?
pick your poison. And it's, as a nurse in the hospital, Big Pharma had a really important role in what I could and could not do for you. So I look at Big Pharma in the hospital as it's a necessity, it's beneficial to the patient. If it's not beneficial to you on an outpatient side, if you haven't tried everything else first, like your friend has tried everything else, and if they can't figure out what else he could try to lower his blood pressure, then he may need to take that medication in order to live a nice long life. So in that instance, if that is my choice, because I've done all the things, it's rare. Your friend is really rare. Most people will not give up all the things that you tell them to give up to lower their blood pressure. So sometimes there is a benefit to Big Pharma out there in an outpatient setting, but should I be working in an office where I feel like I'm a prescription Pez dispenser and my job is, what is your problem? Here's your script.
Yeah. That's good. So when a person shows up to Raving Health, what could they expect in a discovery visit with you?
So at this point, Greg is really great because he listens to all the things that I say to everyone under the sun. He can explain the vast majority of it. So people walk in, they call in. I will speak to you on the phone. If I don't have somebody else in my office, then I want to give you as much information so that you feel comfortable. You have to educate yourself on health and what the options are. And you have to pick a train and you have to go for it. You have to fully decide this is the route that I'm going to take, no matter whether someone says I'm crazy or not, because I want to be healthy. But we educate all of our clients. So when you first walk in the door, like I said, we get people who call on the phone, they just walk in. We really haven't ever had anyone who's made an appointment without calling and talking. And sometimes I talk to people 30, 40 minutes on the phone.
Kathleen experienced that with you.
Yeah.
She told me,
She put in
she
a
actually
form.
spent time with me.
Yep, she put in a form off of the website, and I called her back and said, okay, you think you're menopausal.
Highly unusual.
Yes.
Highly unusual.
Yeah. Well, the medical
In a good
model
way.
is not set up
Yeah.
to do that. It's not even set up that I can answer all your questions in an appointment. So
Unwrap that for us a little bit.
So typically someone puts in a form, they call up. Greg does a fantastic job explaining what we do, why we do it the way we do it, how we do it, that we will send them for a full lab panel. And when they come in for their initial consultation, it's 1 hour. They sit with me in the office for 1 hour so I can go over what the labs mean, what I think the hormones will do for those labs over time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. What exact treatment you'll get and why we do it the way we do it. We send everyone home with a folder because we give you a lot of education so that in an hour's time, and I'm sure you feel this way with your financial clients, you feel like half of what you said, if not 3/4, has bounced off their head.
Like, holy
because
cow. Yeah.
it's something that you and I, we do what we do every day. We know all of this stuff. You try and communicate it, but when they walk out, are they going to remember it? So we try and give them some additional information. Greg has been absolutely essential in being able to make this happen because when I started doing all the things to research, he kept saying, what about me? Like, I have all the things. Like, you're tired, I'm tired. You have no motivation, no energy. Well, I feel the same way. I'm not sleeping. And so it wasn't just...
Patient 0 over here, huh?
Yeah, he's male patient 0 and I'm female patient 0. And we started from there. We have built everything ground up based on what we would want if we were going to someone else.
Now, where is the line drawn between my primary care physician and my
Your hormone specialist.
hormone specialist?
So the primary care physician, I tell everybody you should have one because if you need to use your health insurance, then the primary care is usually going to be the person that drives that train.
Okay.
So if there is something that I wanted you to get, for instance, I had a gentleman come in, we did a few extra labs. I pretty much knew that his low testosterone was caused by the medications that he was on and long term. However, I wanted to make sure he did not have a pituitary tumor. So I gave him all the information and said, if you need me to call your PCP, I will, but you need to use your health insurance to get that MRI. I can get you a cash payment, but still, if your insurance, if the deductible is less, then use that.
Yeah.
So your primary care physician is there for a purpose and to drive that particular train, especially a lot of insurance, you need a referral now, so you have to have a primary care physician.
And you saw that in this particular patient from his blood profile.
Yeah. That and symptoms and the medications he was on and his age. Like, none of it, he should not have walked in the door. So
Interesting.
even though we say on the website 40 and up, we have some in their late 30s. And part of that is just they're not being, what everyone says to me is, I'm not being heard. I told everybody else the exact same thing I'm telling you, but nobody listened.
Well, I mean, just the fact that you're going to spend an hour where even my primary care, she's pretty good, but maybe, and she's a PA, but instead of 15 seconds, maybe I'm getting 25 seconds. And then she's down the hallway to the next one. No slam to her, but that's kind of the machine that she practices in.
Right. And we've made it so that I don't want you to feel like you're a cow and I've got the cattle prod on you shoving out the door. And like, yes, do we have a method? Yes. Do we have a system in place? Yes. Are we flexible? We are. We put it on the website that if you need a Saturday appointment, then we'll figure it out for you. Yes, we have office hours, but life doesn't always happen within office hours.
So it sounds like you're trying to bring back more of that physician or medical professional assistance that was more like what our parents experienced, or maybe our grandparents.
I loved my PCP.
Yeah. Walking around with a little black bag and the stethoscope around his neck and house calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody answers.
You don't do house calls, though. I mean,
I haven't yet. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't.
Okay.
But I answer questions on the weekend all the time.
Yeah.
And people will send
you've been great for Kathleen.
People will send a text, they send an email, they have a question, and I respond to them because I know that question is eating away at them.
Yeah.
And so if I can give you information to get you started and it took me 5 minutes, why am I not going to do that?
Yeah.
And because this is, when you're talking about health and wellness, this is a long-term haul. This is a relationship that as long as I'm alive, I'm going to take my hormones. So more than likely, I'm going to be the one also writing that prescription for Kathleen as we enter our 80s. And so to me, it is a relationship. It is not, I expect everybody to call me Beth. I don't want you to call me NP Owens. I don't want you to call me Mrs. Owens. It's Beth and Greg. It's the two of us at the office. If you see somebody else at our office, it's pretty much family. Like my bonus daughter does the social media. My youngest son is now the accountant person. We've got marketing with my oldest son. His son helps him with his LLC. It's a whole other thing. And so it is very important to us. It's important to me, and that's probably the nurse coming out in me. I want you to know why you're doing what you're doing. I want you to know why you should be doing this, why you need to opt into your health. And we beat it into the 4 kids all the time. Like, you have to take that initiative now in your 20s because you need to make it your lifestyle. Like, my kids now, like, they go to college and they eat all that crappy food and they do all the things, but then they get out of that stage. And both of mine, when you look at the things that they're buying, what they're eating, the fact that they're preparing it at home, it makes it a great thing that you've set a good example.
When you're telling me all this, I'm sure some people are going to be listening and going, "Kenny, it kind of sounds expensive to me." How do you got pricing on the website? How do you price it?
We do. The approach that we take, in order for you to get the best benefit, your job needs to be actually taking the medication as I prescribe it. That is your job. My job and Greg's job is to make sure that all of the other stuff is done. That after your initial appointment, you decide you're going to opt in, then you have your follow-up appointment already scheduled for 3 months. You're going to get your medications for 3 months. You're going to get a treatment plan that tells you what you're going to do for that next 3 months. And
that's where you're saying it's a marathon. It takes time.
It is a
to build
marathon.
The patient baseline,
yes,
right?
Because I can't give you out the gate a dose that I think is going to benefit you, because you have to reawaken all of those receptors in your body. You have to reacquaint your body with these chemicals that it knew what to do with. And so now it's got to get used to doing that again. And again, everyone is a snowflake. So how is that going to happen? How long is that going to take? Exactly. I tell the women it's going to be a year to a year and a half to get you dialed in. Like it just is.
Yeah.
We are more difficult in all ways than men, but
And I see females are a little more expensive if they got 3 or 4 more
well,
hormones to deal with.
because we have more hormones. So men will get treated with thyroid and testosterone. Women could have estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid. If you are perimenopausal, then you get 3. You never get the estradiol until you're postmenopausal. So we've set it up that those prices include everything. They include your office visits. They include if you send me an extra email, if you call me, if you want an extra appointment. It's the medications for 3 months shipped to your door. It is that follow-up appointment. We have tried to plan it to take the guesswork out for you, so that I want you to get the meds, print out your treatment plan, do what I ask you to do, and come back in 3 months. Get your labs, come back in 3 months.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It is. And it's not,
You just got to get knuckleheads like me to do their labs. Again, I had an excuse. But
we're giving you a pass
Yeah.
because of, the eyeball thing.
Yeah.
But it is, we work really hard at trying to add things to the practice as well that are going to benefit your health long term. Like I said, the in-body scan. It is something that we added at the beginning of the year, because how can I tell you that this is going to help your visceral fat if I don't have a way of monitoring it?
right.
So I can put you on that machine for 30 seconds, whether it's at your follow-up appointment or whether you call Greg up and say, hey, can I come in tomorrow at 9 o'clock? And he says, sure, just come in and I'll put you on the machine. If we add anything or if we offer it there, we've done our due diligence. We've done the research for you, because I am patient 0 of the females and Greg is patient 0 of the males.
So what do you think about so it sounds like to me that if you have an ailment that's outside of hormones, you call your primary care and go through that traditional treatment path, but probably wouldn't hurt to give you a call and say, hey, I had X, Y, and Z going on. This is what the primary care told me, and you can confer, or say, hey, you might want to get a second opinion on that, or whatever that may be. But your treatment plan is to treat the hormones and hormonal health that should affect everything else that's going on in the body anyway, if you get that dialed in.
Yep.
All right, so in ending today, I'd love to get an opinion from you on the trend of folks doing cosmetic stuff to look younger. We inject ourselves with Botox and with fillers and whatever else to feel more youthful from an appearance point of view, not necessarily from an actual physiological point of view. What's your opinion on those type things?
I think women feel the pressure much more than men. Greg has obviously let his hair go gray, and I have not.
Yeah.
That's just that's just the tip of the iceberg on the differences between what is socially acceptable aging for men and for women. Kathleen and I have had that discussion of, I am a no judgment zone. You got to do what makes you feel good and what makes you want to get up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror. I tell all of my hormone clients, though, that yes, can I make your skin a little bit better with thyroid, estradiol, and testosterone? I can. Am I going to make you 20? Nope. Sorry. We're not going to do that. And you're still going to age. So.
And you're still going to die.
You're still going to age. We're all going to leave this earth. So I think women have a much, much harder time with what aging is and how we look as we age. So, and I think sometimes women can be super, super hard on each other. You know, there's a lot of junk that goes
Yeah.
out on social media for the people that actually do let their hair go gray. So a lot of hormone places do aesthetics as well.
For men though, like I'm follically challenged now. As a Marine, I had big, beautiful black curly locks years ago, years and years and years ago. And then when I joined the Marine Corps, they cut them off, and I just got used to being bald. But over time, what happened is hair fell out because of, I believe it was lack of hormone that caused my hair to fall out. And then I probably didn't treat it, let it go too long, and then it just doesn't grow back now. Is there hormone therapy if you catch it soon enough? A guy doesn't lose his hair, or a female doesn't lose her hair?
It's not.
Because I think I saw.
Yeah, it's
on my
not
litter.
specifically hormone therapy. Nutrafol is another way that you can treat hair other than plugs. With the hair follicle, it's catching it before it dies. Male pattern hair baldness, men in their 20s their hair is gonna start thinning before those follicles actually die off. They need to try and use Nutrafol, something like that. I like it better.
And Nutrafol does what? How does it react with your?
Nutrafol actually has different, and they're all natural products. So it has ashwagandha in it. It has saw palmetto, which is good for stimulating the hair growth. It helps block DHT, which is a breakdown of your testosterone that can affect the hair follicle and make hair fall out much quicker. And so it works to help provide the hair follicle support in re-stimulating growth. And so before that follicle shuts off, then you've got to get it stimulated. You've got to make the hair grow. If you are a person, if you're a woman in perimenopause and you're starting to see hair thinning, which a lot of women do, perimenopause, the thyroid is starting to go down, and then postmenopausal, they see a lot more hair shedding, then we can try and stimulate that hair growth with the thyroid.
Okay. Hence why you have it.
Yeah,
It's available
that's why we
to.
have it in
Okay.
the office. Yeah.
Now, there might be some naysayers out there to hormone replacement or hormone therapy. What do you hear from the medical profession, traditional medical profession, to say you shouldn't do this? Or,
They say the guidelines are specific, and so for women, you should only get the smallest dose of hormone to alleviate your symptoms for the shortest amount of time. So they're treating the symptoms in that instance, but then on the other medical guidelines for thyroid, it literally says do not consider the symptoms. So we need to make up our mind what we're doing. But when they're doing that, they've based it all on a faulty study in 2002, the Women's Health Initiative. So they've got, the hard part is being in medicine this long is you see things vary and change, although it's super slow. I mean, I've been in it 31 years, so you see the changes. To the naysayers, I will say that there have always been people practicing who don't do it exactly like everybody else does, and you should talk to their clients.
so just in the word itself, practice.
I know. People are like, why do you call it a medical practice? Shouldn't you have already done your practice and you should actually be like playing?
That's right.
I don't know who came
Aren't
up
you
with that.
professional?
Yeah, aren't you
That's very
professionals by now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But science is rife with error.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
until
it's
we.
who are you listening to? So the other thing that in medicine that's thrown around all the time is evidence-based medicine. What we actually do at Raving Health is actual evidence-based medicine because there is medical literature, not only from the United States, but also from Europe, where they are much nicer to their people. They protect them from things like Roundup and other chemicals, red dye, not over there.
My Fruit Loops aren't quite as red, everything, right? Or my Apple
We got a
Jack.
serious discussion about Fruit Loops. But the way that if you practice medicine based on the really good studies, and studies can be A, B, C, and D, just like taking a test in school. You don't want the person who practices the D medicine. You want the person that practices the A medicine. But it's not, the hard part is it's not your job to figure out who that is and what that is. Like, it's really hard. What Greg and I hear from clients all the time that call in, that walk in, is, who do you believe?
Yeah.
Because there are how many different things are out there for you to listen to on the internet or in a podcast about hormones?
Well, I can be a commercial for you today in real life experience and how you've helped Kathleen, which is how you ended up in the seat today, and how my wife referred me to you and goes, honey, she's really helped. And I have TRT in complete transparency. I go to a very well-renowned guy that I've talked about on the show many times, and he's great. No problem. You have a slightly different theory on TRT for men than the stick a needle in my butt twice a week, once a week.
Right.
You take a different approach. Can we talk about that a little bit?
There's actually an article that they did a study. In medicine, everything is about who did a study. And it was, what is the best route for testosterone to be absorbed to give you the best response in a dose that is appropriate for you, that alleviates your symptoms and makes you feel better? So is it by giving an injection, or is it by taking a cream that is in a special base to it so that it won't affect the skin, but to actually, for a man, to put it on their scrotum? The scrotum skin is really thin. It's really easy for it to be absorbed into. And the testicles are right there to respond and help.
To absorb it.
To absorb it. So it is, I think sometimes we have to look at hormones right now. It's a smorgasbord. You can get.
Is that why you brought Greg today? Were you going to do a patient example with Greg?
Yeah, Greg is like, no. I will explain it to you when you come in, Kenny, but I am not going to show you. So we try and go by, I'm not going to give you whatever you want, however you want. I do it a specific way, and I explain to everybody why I do it that way. And it's the long-term health benefits. So that's another huge issue in hormones. Do you get a pellet?
Yeah.
Should you have a cream? Should you have a patch? What's the best dose?
Well, like a lot of guys who do injectables will talk about the spike and then fill in the drop-off before their next
That's
dose.
not if you put it on your scrotum. You do it twice a day. Has a half-life of about 12 hours, so you do it morning and evening, and then you are like this. You can't, I know the difference in him prior to testosterone and on testosterone. There is not, during the week, there's none of that variation. He's like this.
So when guys think about testosterone, they think probably a mental picture comes up in their mind of Arnold Schwarzenegger, like some dude doing not only testosterone, but probably human growth hormone, whatever else.
Yeah.
That's not what you're talking about, though,
those
right?
are anabolic steroids.
Okay.
No. And the WWE wrestlers and all of that then causes brain cancer. Yeah, no, that's not what we're talking about.
So anabolic as opposed to what we're
Bioidentical.
break it down for the
Come
fifth
in
grader
from the knuckle dragging Neanderthal.
Yes.
So it all goes back to, is it synthetic, created in a lab that is not something your body normally sees, or is it something that is biologically identical to what your body creates and your body knows what to do with it?
Okay.
So one of the biggest things I think that men get in their head is, oh, well, I don't have erectile dysfunction. I don't have low testosterone. You don't have to have erectile dysfunction to have low testosterone. Your testosterone is going to drop with age, and those within normal limit values, they are based on age, and they are based on a sicker population that we have now than we used to. Look at pictures of people on the beach in the 50s, in the 1950s.
Yeah.
They did not look like they look now in Virginia Beach.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are all of the differences? Part of it is all the stuff that we're exposed to. Part of it is that we're living longer. But I think
Living longer doesn't always equate to living healthier.
correct. It's not quantity of life so much that I'm after. Yes, we have 4 kids. We're just going to be heading into grandparent zone sometime in the near couple of years.
That's
so
a lot of fun, by
yeah,
the way.
it's a lot of fun, but I also want to be able to bend over and pick the grandchildren up. I want to teach them how to make cookies. I want to be active and running around with them. I want to be playing with them. Greg has this dream of like certain things on Instagram. He's like, I'm going to make that for the kids, and they're going to learn how to garden with me. And so it's quality of life. It's not, if I live to 80 and I am super healthy and God calls me home, I'm good with that. I don't want to be here at 89 like my mother with dementia and all the other things that
A bunch of comorbid factors.
Yeah,
that
the
just-
laundry list of what is wrong with her and the laundry list of pharmaceuticals that she's on.
Yeah.
She has 0 quality of life now.
So if you lived to the same age that your mother passed, so to that same age, but with less comorbid factors, that's a win.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely a win. Absolutely a win. And you take for granted when you're a little kid and a teenager and your early 20s, you take for granted that you're going to live forever. And then you hit 50, 60 years old and you realize that a large chunk of your life is behind you. And then, in our age, we're taking care of elderly parents. So we've been watching all of that. How do we want to age? That was also part of what brought the business out. Was Greg and I was female patient 0, he's male patient 0. And then the people around us were like, I want some of that.
Yeah.
Like, you guys look happy. Like, you have more energy. Like, all of us are pooping out. And so we went to them. And then, Greg always has the great big ideas. He was like, why are you practicing medicine and miserable? Why are you not doing this?
So the average age of my client in my firm, I think right now we need to do it again, but about 5 years ago, it was like 67. So if you're talking to 67-year-old females and males out there today who might be watching this, or maybe someone even in their 40s who's watching this, and they're just not, I call it NKR, not quite right. People go, wait a minute, can a K, shouldn't it be a Q? Yeah, it's not quite right. So if they're just feeling a little weird and they've all of their blood work, their doc, oh, you're normal. You're within normal range.
You're within normal limits for your age.
Yeah.
Okay, but am I just going to accept that, or am I going to question it?
So they should invest $300 to spend 30 minutes or 60 minutes with you to figure out whether or not there might be some other alternatives to feeling great again in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be the best money that you have spent because I will answer all of your questions. So we are typical medical in that I want your history stuff. I want to know all of the medications you're on because with everything that you tell me on those forms, with your symptoms, when you're sitting there and your labs, it's a great big puzzle.
What if I have a laundry list of supplements I'm taking too? Do you want to know that?
I do want to know your supplements. I've had a couple people with really expensive pee.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything
not
for
doing
them.
crap,
Yeah,
right.
I was like,
Or they could be taking something that's counterproductive to maybe the
correct.
the pharmaceutical medicine they're taking.
Yeah. And then there are some things that they absolutely should be taking, but they went out and they bought the cheap brand and it's filled with a bunch of gunk. So they were on the right path, but they didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been a wealth of information today, and imparting if you could give a person like step 1, step 2, step 3, and they're wanting to maybe research you before they go pull the trigger, what would you tell them? How would you help them?
Step 1, they had it up there. There it is, ravinghealthvb.com. I have tried to put as much information on there as possible.
Go back to the main page, guys.
I was going to say, go back to, there you go. So when you go down that page, like even at the bottom, it tells you that we're going to take care of everything. Like you come in, we order your meds, we order your labs, we schedule your follow-up. Why are you going to do this?
You got this
there it is.
certification that would
A modern approach.
Come back up. Right there,
That
advanced
certification.
BHRT.
Yeah. So WorldLink Medical goes out of their way to understand and teach medical professionals how to take care of their clients if they do not wish to use a bunch of pharmaceutical drugs, and how the hormones can benefit you. Are you totally not going to use your insurance ever again? No. You're going to have surgery. You're going to need something done along the way.
It's not going to keep my retina from detaching when my dog slams me in the face.
Exactly. The hormones weren't going to help that. Those things are going to happen. But if you go into surgery, are you going to be far, far more healthy going into surgery? You betcha. Because you're
great
taking
point.
care, you're actually healthy.
Yeah.
You're not a fake healthy. I'm not giving you a bunch of drugs just to treat a symptom.
And not that it's guaranteed, but my body has a higher probability, I would guess, if things are clicking right, hormones are acting and behaving appropriately, I should be healing faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The certification just means that I've gone out of my way to make sure that I've educated myself beyond the status quo. Medicine can be, what you're taught in your NP, MD, PA, DO program varies a little bit school to school, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But what most people tell you is when you get out in practice, it really is practice in the beginning, and then you have to figure it out. And it's a lot of your life experiences and those around you that make you do something like this.
Maybe we bring you back on a different day because we've gone over. My clock stopped over there, but I had to go pee, so I wasted some time. There's the craze now. Maybe it's not a craze, but just the communities that I hang out in, and guys in the Special Forces community. There's been a big push for peptides and peptide therapy, both injectables and those that
And
you
orals,
ingest, orals. Is it a fad, or is there some science?
There's
behind it?
science to it. There's absolute science to it. The problem is your insurance going to cover it? No,
It can be really expensive.
they're going to tell you that it's a wellness product. And the other clinker with insurance is if it hasn't gone through the FDA, which means it hasn't been modified so that they can patent it, then they're typically not going to cover it.
Interesting.
So medicine has lots and lots of benefits for you. You just have to be a very educated consumer.
If all else fails, go read and educate yourself.
Yeah,
before
absolutely.
you put something in your body.
Absolutely.
One last one I saw the other day, I think we were talking about this at dinner the other night, is Kat and I were watching a series, and we're very faith-based, love Jesus, and there's a whole community around faith healing that can get a little weird, all right? And I'm saying this about my own faith. But we watched this series the other night. It was called The Source, It's Within You. And it was a documentary on people who were using medical science, but also using the science of meditation. and it was fascinating to watch the University of California, I think it was UC Davis, had been doing this study in conjunction with Johns Hopkins and a few other medical universities and clinics that are doing these studies. Pull it up, guys. If you can go find The Source, It's Within You documentary, just put that in the Google search. I'll show it to you. It was a fascinating watch, but I'd love to hear your opinion on, do you believe people who really, like you were talking about patient care as a nurse in emergency rooms, that if you had a mom or dad or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, come in, patient's heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up because of their environment. What do you think about now kind of this Eastern medicine approach to, here it is, meditation? They had some science that was fascinating. What's your opinion on meditation as a form of?
I think that there are so many factors that factor into your health.
Stop. Go back up right there. We don't have to watch but it tells about the in-depth studies that allowed science to explore what happens when we close our eyes, go within, and connect to source.
So your wife is a perfect example. On Friday night, you told her to go meditate, and she brought her own blood pressure down.
Yeah.
Because her blood pressure was a reaction to other things going on.
Kids.
Exactly. Outside of what she can control.
Yeah.
My opinion on anything like that is all of that stuff is true, because as a very young ICU nurse, I watched patients hold on until the very last family member arrived.
Wow.
With a heart rate that no way that they should have been there. But they were there because they were waiting for that last person. They heard that last person's voice, and then, then they let go. Wow. So don't tell me that things that go on in my brain, that doesn't also affect what's going on in my body. Yeah. Like we said, I would see patients in an ICU bed and a particular family member came in, or a particular doctor on their case, and everything goes haywire. So, yeah.
And I've seen that happen as a kid growing up as a pastor's son, where people who were prayed for and people who believed for the healing, amazing things happen in their body, and it's really cool to see. So, with all the things of combining Western and Eastern medicine together, taking medical professionals who really, really subscribe to the Hippocratic Oath, and those patients who will follow doctor's orders of going, hey, don't drink too much of that, don't eat too much of that, and,
don't buy
watch
any
your
more
own.
Fruit Loops.
Yeah, oh, God. There's a lot of science behind you can help yourself live a lot more fruitful, beneficial life.
The blue zones, Greg and I watched the documentary on how do people in these, I think it's 6 areas of the world, why do they typically live to be 100? And one of the areas, they smoked like fiends, but it was because of their diet and then a different level of exercise because of what they had to, what they did for a living based on where that particular area was. Yeah. And so it's things like that when you open your mind to just one pill is not gonna fix everything. Yeah. I mean, I tell people, 1, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and 2, you have to do the rest of it. Like it's not a magic wand. If it was a magic wand, then I could just, when you came in, everything would be peachy. It's effort, and it's looking at realistically what you can do in your life, and one change at a time move forward.
Yeah. Beth, thank you for coming on today. If you're watching this and you want to know more, reach out to Beth Owens and Greg, who's helping her run the practice. Seriously, in our own family, what I've experienced through Kathleen, and now it's made me like, okay, Kenny, go see Beth. Check her out. If you're in your 40s or older, that's your ideal patient.
Yep, 40 and older. the earlier I get you in your late 40s, I have a lot of perimenopausal women because they don't prescribe them anything other than an antidepressant for all of the hormone changes they're feeling. So 40s and early 50s, if I can get you, make this difference, help you make these changes and make your body function better, then you start making all of the other stuff. You do it on your own if you're not already doing it. Yeah.
No paid endorsement here. I'm saying all this stuff because I've seen the experience with Kathleen. And then I'll report back to you.
Yep.
And we'll go on the show and I'll tell you really how I feel. And more to come. So thanks for coming, Greg. Thanks for being a good sport and doing our toast with us.
Yeah, we thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it was great. Have a great day.
Thank you.
See ya.
Blackbox.